Good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to discuss the last chapter of the third unit, that is called as concept testing. And before I start this concept testing, just I wanted to have a recapitulation about the previous classes which you have covered. So in the previous class, we discussed about the concept generation, where during the concept generation we develop a lot of ideas, okay, through following the structured process of product development. After that, I covered the concept selection process, where we have used two things, two PDD techniques, that is concept screening and concept scoring. Concept screening is a very vague screening or overall screening of the ideas, okay, where the ideas are going to reduce to some extent from the concept generation. In concept scoring is nothing but it is a very detailed analysis of the concepts, okay. We consider all the critical items, okay, yeah, the critical designs, everything in detail. Hence, the concept scoring is called as detailed screening. That is called as concept scoring. By using this, further we reduce the ideas into very few ideas. Okay, say for example, in concept generation, with reference to the sketches I already explained, where we generated around 12 ideas in the beginning. Now, through the concept selection and concept screening, we reduced 12 ideas into 6 ideas. Then 6 ideas being reduced to 2 to 3 ideas through the concept scoring process. Okay, all these things we covered in the previous classes, and we adopted the structured process of PDD development for concept generation and concept selection. So now we have around 3 ideas or 2 to 3 ideas, sometimes maybe 1 idea also. Okay, so we may have 1 idea, or we may have 2 ideas, or we may have 3 ideas. Okay, so these assume that we have 2 to 3 ideas and that we are submitting for concept testing process. It is the last stage of the concept process, concept development process. Okay, so then before that, I want to tell you what do you mean by concept testing. Okay, the concept testing is the we need to, whatever the ideas, 3 ideas we have selected, they are being submitted to the market, or the ideas which you have selected are the ideas which you are thinking of pursuing for further process or the further development process. So these 3 ideas have to be submitted to the market. That is nothing but we need to gather the information from the potential customers in the market. We need to gather the information from the potential customers from the market. Okay, why we need to do this? We need to do this, okay, to have or to improve or to have some other additional feature for the concept which we have selected. Understand? Then there is a one point to be discussed in this chapter in the concept testing. The second important factor to be considered in concept testing, that we need to estimate the sales potential of the product for the concept to be developed for the organization. Okay, the one is thing that we need to gather the information from the customer, and that is nothing but the additional information, additional features which are still expected to improve these 3 ideas or the two ideas which you have selected after concept selection. That is one thing. And second thing is that we are also going to estimate the sales potential for the concepts selected for the market. So that is known as concept testing process. Understand? Then the concept testing process, well, similarly every process, okay, which has been considered in the previous chapters, all the development PDD development processes involves 5 to 7 steps. But this concept testing have 7 steps or the 7 stages of the concept testing procedure. Okay, so the first step is define the purpose of the concept test. Define the purpose of the concept test. Then second, choose the survey population. Choose the survey population. The third step is choose the survey format. Fourth step is communicate the concept. Fourth step is measure the customer response. Measure the customer response. Sixth, interpret the results. Interpret the results. Seventh, reflect on the results and the process. Okay, these 7 steps are very, very most important, okay, in the concept testing procedure. So you need to note down very clearly, and you should remember all these 7 steps, okay, are most important for final product selection, concept selection for the industry to further design, develop and manufacture and leave it to market. Okay, and this is the last step of the concept origination, concept selection process. Okay, now we discuss the steps which have been told now. Okay, the first step is define the purpose of the concept test. Define the purpose of the concept test. Okay, I told you that the concept test is being performed to gather the information from the potential customers in the market to improve the concept, or that is nothing but to add some more features which are being expected by the customers in the market. That's one thing. And second important point is purpose of conducting this concept test is to estimate the sales potential for the concept which we are selected for market. Okay, we need to estimate how much we could sell once we manufacture this product and release to the market. Okay, these are the 2 purposes of the concept testing. Okay, once again, okay, we need to, some of the questions, primary questions which have to be addressed, okay, in the concept testing. Okay, the first question is that which of the several alternative concepts should be pursued? Okay, so I told you that. Okay, at presently from the 12 ideas, so we have 2 to 3 ideas in the hand which are to be expected to be pursued for concept testing. Okay, then how can the concept be improved to better meet the customer needs? That's why we are conducting this concept testing. And approximately how many units are likely to be sold? How many products are likely to be sold in the market? This is also one of the intention of the concept testing process. And should we continue the development with the finally identified product concept? Okay, we need to seek the approval, we need to seek the permission because from the customers, because the customers are king. We call it as the customers are king, not the organization bosses are the kings. Okay, no, now the customers are kings. Okay, we need to obey them. That is nothing but we need to satisfy their needs and requirements. Okay, so these are the points. Okay, these are the points to be taken into consideration for defining the concept testing procedure. Okay, so this is what the purpose of the concept testing, first step. Okay. Then second step is choose the survey population. Okay, this is most important. So as you know that the product is being sold in the various market segments. Okay, you have studied different types of market segments. Okay, the market segments, various market segments are there where we need to sell our products. Okay, some of the target, the segments of the markets, we have many customers. Some of the targets, the market segments have many customers, potential customers of the product. And there are some market segments where we have few potential customers which are interested to buy our products. Okay, so we need to identify whether we need to target what market, whether what market is to be targeted for surveying these concepts. Okay, so we have some factors for choosing the sample size of dough, sample size also. Okay, when we are going for survey, we need to decide about the survey formats. I mean, survey formats as well as the survey population, or it is called as the sample size of the survey. So we have smaller sample size and we have larger sample size in the different market segments. Okay, we need to know, okay, what factors are to be considered for the smaller sample size selection and what factors are to be considered for larger sample size. Okay, larger sample size. For example, the factors which favors a smaller size sample size selection. Okay, the first one, test occurs early in this smaller size is to be considered when the concept testing has to occur in the early stages of the product development. Early stages of the product development, that is nothing but initial stages of the product development. Okay, then the smaller sample size to test primarily intended to gather qualitative data. When we are interested to gather qualitative data, go for smaller sample size. Then surveying potential customers is relatively, smaller size is relatively costly and it is time consuming and requires investment to develop for the initial launch of the product is relatively small because smaller sample size. Hence, the less investment is required for smaller size for initial launching. In the same way, there are some of the factors, the same factors, how that are to be considered for larger sample size selection for surveying. Okay, the first one, this larger sample size test occurs in the concept development, in the later stages of the concept development. So the smaller size is initial stage, whereas the larger size, it is for the occurs in the final stage of this testing. Okay, I think now you might be able to have a clear idea that why sample size in beginning, smaller size in the beginning of the PDD, and why larger size in the end of the PDD. Because so always our market demand completely dependent upon the larger size. So that's why at the end of the PDD, that is nothing but what we are doing concepts testing at the end of the concept development. We need to go for larger sample size, because once we finalize the product based on the larger market size, so our job is over. We need to design, develop, and manufacture, finally give it to that market. That's why we need to go for larger sample size for concept testing. Understand? Okay, and it also be relatively very less cost and less time consuming, and also the required investment to develop and launch the process is relatively high because of the larger sample size. So these are the factors which favors the smaller sample size selection, and the factors which favors for larger sample size selection. So by considering all these things, okay, we need to decide the sample size for the concept selection. Okay, as far my understanding and my knowledge goes, okay, to have a more confidence on the market, okay, we need to go for larger sample size. Okay, it is better for concept testing, because we are completely, our product final manufacturing and development, it depends upon the final concept what we select. That's why better go for larger sample size. Okay, then we need to discuss about the third step. The third step tells about the choosing a survey format. Choosing the survey format, that is nothing but we need to design the survey formats. Survey format, because we need to go to the larger market segment in the market. So we need to pose the whatever the 3 ideas we have considered from the 12 ideas. So these 3 ideas have to be surveyed clearly from the market. Clearly from the market. So we should have a proper designing of the survey formats. Okay, these are the following survey procedures to be adopted. Depending upon the survey procedure, we need to design our own survey formats. Okay, the following are the survey formats used for concept testing. One is face-to-face interaction. Face-to-face interaction. That is nothing but interviews are conducted directly with respect to the customers, and we make them to stop the people at the mall, at the park, at the city, at the street, or in the market. In the market. Okay. And we need to ask, we have already designed the questions. Based on the questions, we need to ask personally, face to face, and we need to record the points. Then telephonic interviews. Okay, so the questionnaire is to be posed to the potential customers over a phone, and we need to ask them, and whatever they respond, that is to be recorded. Then similarly, postal mails. Okay, this was the traditional way of gathering the information, where we need to post to the respective potential customers in the market, and we need to get back their feedbacks through the post. And electronic mails, okay, it is the present way of collecting the feedback from the customers in the market, okay, through online. Next, the internet, okay, same as emails and other things. And also nowadays people are going for Google Forms. Okay, we design and we host it, and we can get the feedback. Okay, so these are the various formats which are being used for survey. Then we need to discuss about the fourth step, that is communicate the concept. So what the three ideas which we have selected for concept testing and the communicating to the potential customers in the market is most important. Okay. So then what are the ways by which we can clearly communicate to the potential customers and in the potential larger market segments? That is most important. So we have many methods. One of the method is that verbal description. Okay, at the same time you should point all these things, note down all these points. Verbal description. So the verbal description is generally a short paragraphs, okay, or a collection of bullet points, okay, they summarizing the product concept. They are in the bullet forms, okay, they are in the short paragraphs about the product concept description. Next, sketches. Okay, so these are usually the line drawings. These are the usually neatly drawn line drawings showing the product, okay, in perspective and perhaps with some annotations and key features of the product. Okay, they have to be drawn neatly with the freehand sketches and is to be communicated to the customers. Then photos and renderings. Okay, the photographs of the concepts can be used to communicate to the potential customers about the concept, and also the renderings are neatly photorealistic illustration of the concepts. Okay, they are called the renderings, photo renderings. Renderings are neatly photorealistic illustrations of the concepts. Okay, this is the other way of using. Then storyboard. Storyboard is the other method where series of images that are continuous, a temporal sequence of actions involving the product. Okay, that is called the storyboard. And videos, okay, that allows even most dynamism, okay, that depicts the concept or that shows the concept which is going to be developed in the form of videos. Okay, all three-dimensional. Okay, we can view in any way, and also the functional aspects also could be observed through the videos. Similarly, the simulation, okay, using the software, okay, we can simulate the concepts in all the angles, including function, okay, like 3D modeling, 3D solid, something like that. Okay, so, and also some other people can use interactive multimedia technique, okay, where both the potential customers and the product developer can interact interactively online. That is known as the interactive multimedia of softwares, using softwares. Okay, then developing a physical appropriate models. Okay, small models can be created and could be kept in the discussion rooms. Okay, and some of the working prototypes, okay, they're called the prototyping, smaller miniature products. By using the RP equipments, we can build models of the concepts which we have in the mind and can be kept for communication of this concept to the customer so that customers will understand better. Okay, there are many ways, 10 to 15 ways. Okay, some of the companies choose some 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7 depending upon their requirements. Okay, but I told you what are the ways by which a PDD developer can communicate to the potential customers in the market. Okay. Then comes to the fifth step. Okay, fifth step, that is measure the customer response. Measure the customer response. Okay, we have started with two ideas of concept testing. One is getting the feedback from the customers about the improvement of the concepts. The second is that the step 5 highlights the customer demand. Okay, so that is not the measurement of the response about the concepts. Okay, which concept have got more demand in the market? We assume that we have three concepts. All these three concepts are to be posed to the potential customers in the larger segment. Okay, based on their response for all these three ideas, okay, we need to gather, we need to measure their response. Okay, so these are the some of the one scale is being used, that's called as most commonly used purchase intent scale. It is called as a purchase intent scale. Remember, it is also one of the PDD tool, purchase intent scale, which is being used for measurement of the customer response with respect to the concept testing. Okay, then what is that scale tells? Okay, so this scale tells how many of the customers would definitely would buy, is the one scale, and how many of the customer would probably would buy, how many of the customer would might not buy, how many customers would probably buy, how many customers would definitely would not buy. Okay, so these are the 5 ways we need to develop a scale for customer response measurement. Once again I repeat, how many definitely would buy, how many probably would buy, how many might not buy, probably would not buy, definitely would not buy. So we need to pose these questions to the potential customers in the market and measure. Okay, so then we are going to the sixth step, that tells about interpret the results. Interpret the results. So we have collected, we have designed the survey formats, we gathered the information from the potential customers, from the larger segments to improve the concepts, as well as we measured the demand for the expected demand for the product if you manufacture from the market. Then we need to interpret the results. We need to interpret the results. Okay, the team must compare all these ideas, okay, and interact and finally select which one is the most preferred concept by the larger segments of the larger population of the market. Okay, so this has to be finalized. So here we are using one formula, okay, to estimate the quantity of the product to be sold during the market. That is called as, you take down this formula, that is Q is equal to N into A into P. Q is equal to N into A into P. So it estimates the expected demand for the product in the market. Then what N highlights? N highlights or N denotes the number of potential customers expected to make purchases during the time period. Okay, so the number of potential customer expected to make purchase during some time period. During some time period. Then what is A? Okay, what is A is the before A. P is the fraction of the respondent uh, of the people probably would like to purchase the product. Probably would like to purchase. Okay, we're using these three notations. Okay, we can predict the market product demand in the market. Okay, so this is the mathematical equation, not so important for you, but you should know how to interpret the survey which has been carried out in the step 2 and 3 and 4, okay, and the 5. So the interpretation of the result is most important, okay, to estimate the people who estimate the product features, improved features, and also the expected demand in the market. Okay, so now you note down the one more step, that is the last step, the 7th step. Okay, usually that is reflect on the results and the process. Reflect on the results and the process. That is nothing but we go back to from step 1 to step 6, and we need to thoroughly analyze the everything has been clearly followed or not, and any drawbacks or issues are there, they have to be rectified in the final step. Okay, so this is how the 7 steps have to be adopted for finally the selection of the finally selection or finally the concept testing. Okay, so you take down the question now. Identify the steps or the phases involved in concept testing and illustrate all the steps in detail with the PDD tools used for the concept testing. Okay, we'll have after 1 or 2 days we'll have online by using the Zoom software. We'll have one-to-one interaction, so that I will clarify your doubts. Still you have any doubts in this concept testing process. Okay, this completes the 3rd unit. Then tomorrow onwards I'll start the 4th unit. Understand? Okay, and also today I have mailed one YouTube video. You refer that and make the notes. Okay, yes, bye.